There have been a lot of great games that came out in the last year, and one of our favorites has to be Alan Wake 2. If you are a survival horror fan that also loves insanely well written stories, then this might be a game you want to play. This is Chug from Cubold Gaming, and this is our buyer pass on the newly released Alan Wake 2. Before anything else, if you are going to play this game, then it is highly recommended that you go and play Alan Wake 1 and Control, because Alan Wake 2 has so many different aspects of those games thrown in. Plus, the game is called Alan Wake 2, and you will be extremely confused as to what is happening if you haven't played the first game. The reason you should play Control is that Alan Wake universe is the same as the Control universe. Plus, Control is an absolutely amazing game that you also need to check out. We aren't paid to say these things, by the way, we just really love Remedy's games and are excited to see what they bring to the table next. This video is sponsored by Aura. Aura is an identity theft service and fraud protection for your finances, personal info, and family. It's easy to understand, simple to set up, and all in one place. Not many people know this, but every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity theft, which has cost the US over $56 billion in 2020 alone. Aura gives you a secure password manager, identity theft protection, a VPN, antivirus, and more, all in one place. If you use our sponsored link in the description of this video, you will get a free 2-week trial for Aura to test out the services. And if you decide you don't like it, there is no charge to you. Alright, back to the video. With that intro talk out of the way, let us get into what this video is about. So Alan Wake 2 takes place 13 years after the ending events of the first Alan Wake game and introduces you to a bunch of new characters. Not only do you play as Alan Wake in this game, you also play as an FBI agent by the name of Saga, who is trying to stop a murder cult in the town of Bright Falls. If you have played the first game, Bright Falls will be very familiar to you. I really won't go into more detail about the story, since the whole thing is a massive trip that you just need to experience. There are even certain chapters in this game that literally blew me away with what the developers can even do in a video game. The game uses a lot of live action mixed with in-game graphics, and it is probably one of the best jobs Remedy has ever done with that. Both Alan Wake 1 and Control have had live action sections, but Alan Wake 2 takes the cake for being the best one yet. So one thing about this game that it is very slow. The game slowly introduces things to you and lets you take your time to learn everything. The introduction to the game is about 5 hours long, and you will know when it is done when you can freely swap between Saga and Alan. But the slowness is not a bad thing, because it keeps you intrigued the whole time. The more clues you find and story you uncover, the more questions you have, and that is what makes this game great. There is also a place for both Saga and Alan that requires you to use this mind place location that you can swap to at any time and deduct any clues you have found. I only included Saga's footage in the video since that is who you play as in the introduction of the game. We don't want anything spoiled for you if you do end up playing the game for yourself, and there are going to be people that don't enjoy this crime case system. But if you take your time and learn how it works, it is a very cool system. One of the main things about this game are the graphics. The game is by far one of the best looking games out there, and the game runs very well on most hardware. Yes, you need at least a 20 series GPU to take advantage of the DLSS in-game, but it is very well optimized for how the game looks. The character models, details of the world, and insane lighting just make the game look incredible, and the footage we are showing was with RTX turned off as well. As for the story, we already covered that, and we do have to say that we loved it and are extremely excited to see what Remedy comes up with for Alan Wake 2's DLCs and Control 2. The combat is also very well paced in this game. If you played the first game, it was very linear and could be tiresome at times with the high number of enemies that they throw at you. We are happy to say that Alan Wake 2's combat is very well done. You use your flashlight to break the darkness off the enemy, and then you eliminate them with whatever weapon you have. The game is also open world in a way. There are locations that are totally optional and a ton of collectibles to find. we ended up finding every collectible in the game because of how well they designed the locations. For Saga, there are 3 big locations you can fully explore, and there are aspects of the Metroidvania in there. In Alan Wake's chapters, you are in a noir New York City, and he even has his own enemies and mechanics to learn. The coffee thermoses also make a comeback in this game and act like the game's save points, kind of like the typewriters from Resident Evil. These locations make you feel safe because there is always a light and a box to keep your extra stuff if you don't have any space left in your inventory. The game itself is also not short. It takes an average of 17 hours to beat this game, and it could take you more if you want to explore and find collectibles. If you are a huge fan of the newer Resident Evil remakes, then you will really enjoy this game because it feels very similar. They even added the bolt cutters into the game, which is a staple in the Resident Evil franchise. It actually feels similar to the Resident Evil 2 remake, since there are multiple playable characters with their own stories that intertwine. The game itself does have replayability if you do enjoy replaying games. There are harder difficulty modes for those who want more of a challenge, and there are even DLCs that will be released in the coming year, and we are really excited to see what Remedy comes up with those. There were even characters from Remedy's previous game Quantum Break, but they did come out and say that Quantum Break wasn't in the Alan Wake universe. The characters are the same though, so it's likely that they couldn't add in the game into the universe for legal reasons, so it is cool to see that characters could potentially be the ones from Quantum Break. Every part of Alan Wake 2 had love and support thrown into it, and is by far our favorite Remedy game to date. As we said before, Control 2 is in the works, so that's going to be Remedy's new big game release, and seeing the hype for Alan Wake 2, it has become one of our most anticipated games. I know I didn't talk a lot about what the game includes with Alan Wake's story and footage of later on in the game, but I feel it is better to leave you with as little as possible and let you know that it is totally worth buying this game. The game itself is also only $50 on the Epic Games Store for PC, and it is totally worth the price if you enjoy survival horror games. I'd say this is more than a game. It is art that the developers have handcrafted. It has become one of our favorite games of all time, and is one that we will revisit at some point in the future. Let us know down in the comments if you ended up picking up the game because of this video, or if you beat Alan Wake 2 and want to share your opinion on it. We are curious as to what you all thought of the game. As we said before, it is totally worth buying, just keep in mind that it does take some decent hardware to run. The game is also on consoles, if that is what you play games on as well. Make sure to check out our gaming podcast where we do live commentary about the latest games we have been playing. We go live every Saturday, and then we post the podcast to both YouTube and Spotify for those who couldn't make it to the live stream. Also consider giving this video a like since it would help us out a lot. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you in the next video.